Just driving home, thinking about the different mystical experiences I've had in my life. And there's been quite a lot. And how much to go into in a video like this, whether it be boring for people or whether it be quite interesting. I had a quick search on the internet for what people meant when they were talking about going into the void in meditation. And as far as I can gather, their description isn't what I thought was called the void. On the weekend of the 8th of August, when I had such divine bliss just take over my body and feel like I didn't know where I started or stopped and the rest of everything began. Just such sweet peace and connection and love, and you can never be the same again after experiencing something like that. The love and compassion that is just for everybody and for everything. I'm not saying that it'd be a total like pushover and let people bully you, but the things, there's just no sense of separation anymore. There's just so much love for everybody and everything, and so much gratitude and wonder at all of it. That doesn't mean to say I don't ever get frustrated, because I lose things constantly, but not frustrated like I used to. Now it's just like, and it, kind of generally ask for it back, and it comes back. When I first had the last August, for a few months, not August just gone, the one before, I couldn't, my appetite went, I wasn't bothered for food, couldn't no way have any alcohol, still can't really. I can have a drink if I want, but I don't really bother with it. What I find interesting is that over the course of my life, a few different people who turn out to be psychic went out of their way specifically to tell me that I didn't have any psychic abilities. Like, I didn't pay them, I wasn't particularly asking, but they made a point of telling me, not just one person, but like quite a few, but that my daughter did. And I just didn't really, well, I just thought, well, it is what it is, it's not the kind of thing you think either way about. It's not something that I've like particularly had any thought strongly one way or another, I mean, it is just, you are who you are, things like that is what it is. Yeah, I had so many experiences throughout my life which defy conventional explanation. And not on drugs, sober, not drinking, an experience in Thailand which I could see clear as day, eyes open, eyes shut, still there, but that wouldn't be, it was out of the ordinary. In Cornwall, I was talking to somebody and I kind of must have slipped into another dimension somehow. The light, it was all light, and there was balls of colours of light, but they were part of the whole, but they still had the kind of individual centres, if you will, and the music in it sounded different, and the colours and the peace and the love and the feeling, just so so nice. And then I kind of like dropped back into my our reality. And I remember saying to the person I was talking to, I get it, I understand now, I understand what it's all about, I get it. And I'd had that sense of, that experience of being a soul, but being part of a bigger thing. So it wasn't just me, but you could see the focal points of energy, but they all were in and amongst, all part of the bigger thing. I don't know if I'm making that make sense. And then this place that I went to meditation a few days before the big kundalini event happened. A few things around that time happened. In one meditation, I'd asked, my intention was to release any fear, and I felt this black thing coming up and out of and towards my nose, like not a physical black thing, it was an energetic black thing. And I don't know why, but because I don't know anything much about this, but it felt like an implant. It felt, that's what I had in my mind, that's what came to my head. Some sort of fear got released. And then in the other meditation experience, which was really profound, unlike anything I've ever seen or experienced or known about, it's kind of, I went through like an upwards through a tunnel, and there was things that I saw on the way through this tunnel, and one was a horse. I think it was a black or a grey horse's head. I should have written it down, but so many weird things were happening. I didn't really, but I did draw what I saw when I was in this place, because it was just such a space, a black space, and then kind of lights, like a laser beam lights, and a pyramid, and codes, like algebra, not algebra, but these codes and the lights. It was so different to anything that I'd experienced. So yeah, so I've been told that I had no psychic abilities, and it was not long after the experience in the tunnel and the pyramid that it was not like an Egyptian pyramid. It was more like I don't know. It was a pyramid shape. I was talking to a friend, and her spirit guide showed himself to me, because all of a sudden there was a half naked, traditionally attired Aboriginal man stood in my kitchen in Yorkshire. He just appeared where she was and looked at me for a moment or two, and then disappeared again. So amazing to think that we see such a small fraction of the available range of the light. You know, there's so much around us all, and so much support and help and guidance to help us if we only ask for it. And the gratitude and for these experiences, you know, you can see why it's not something to be kind of necessarily taken lightly or to force. Because I didn't have any guide. Well, obviously we've all got our spirit guides, but I didn't have any physical teacher to explain anything to me, or I did it very much just with my own awareness and intuition, spiritual help that I get, and you know, information was brought to my attention as and when it was needed. You know, things pop up in you on the internet for you, because there's been quite a lot of dramatic things happening for a couple of years before. And I know that if you're on a spiritual path, it's not an unusual thing for people to have a near-death experience around the age of 38 or so. And that happened to me. I got hurt badly, and I nearly died then. But then also so many different things happened that, thinking about it, and the things that just not typical experiences of things that I hear anybody else mentioning. Maybe they do, just not to me. Because I went off on this, I bought a hot pink vintage camper van, and we had so many near misses in that. Like, God, it's a totally different video. And not just, it was a different level, you know, when things just aren't quite normal. But yeah, I wouldn't suggest that it was the thing to force on yourself if it doesn't happen spontaneously or with a really experienced teacher. Because some people who are very spiritual and very experienced in maybe tarot or healing, they don't always know about the kundalini. And I didn't know anything about kundalini, and I'd done yoga teacher training. I'd done a 5-year degree in traditional Chinese medicine, and obviously I would know about energy. I've done Reiki and aromatherapy and massage and nutrition, done all sorts of different things. And I was aware of the concept of kundalini, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about what it does to people or what it means, really, or I had no resonance with it. Just hadn't come into my field of awareness in any way until it was suggested to me by a energy healer that I had been to see a few weeks before this thing in August. I said, oh, yeah, I feel good after the treatment, thank you. We did 2 or 3 rounds of 2 or 3 breaths of like Dr. Joe Dispenza does, and I've done his meditations like previously, and this breath work was so mild, really. But following that, I said to her, oh yes, I feel good, but I feel like I'm getting a massive spot. My forehead's going nuts and it's really red. She said, oh, you sure it's not your kundalini? I'm like, I don't know. And then I started looking into it, and I found 1 or 2 articles about kundalini. I looked on YouTube, one video came up, only one video. And it might seem hard to believe that it was just one video, but I think if God doesn't want you to know something, or if God does want you to know something, then that will be how it is. There's been a few situations in my life where information was blocked from me until a particular time, and then I was given it suddenly. And this about the kundalini was one of those. I reached out to a spiritual organisation, which is global, but they've got a local branch. And it was the second time I'd reached out to them wanting to join, learn. And it was the first time I got a reply. And when I said, oh, I've been given this teaching about the nature of reincarnation that I've never heard before, and going through quite an unusual experience that I don't know much about, and tried to explain a little bit. And the man said to me, I could perhaps spare 10 minutes, but maybe you'd be better off with a psychiatrist. And I don't have any hard feelings or grudges or anything about that, because it will have been put in his heart to say that it wouldn't have been a possibility. It wouldn't have had any other resolution to that, because it wasn't my destiny to get any support or guidance through the whole process. I had to do it by myself for reasons. That's how it was, which is fine, and it was fine. And luckily I had enough comprehension of how to conduct myself within spiritual situations which might have felt a bit annoying. For example, the weekend of the Friday to the Monday, when I had the apple detox and the big kind of the whole weekend, was nuts. It felt like someone was poking me like every 2 minutes, just totally winding me up, kept poking me. I said, just, will you stop it? Just leave me alone. Doing my head in. What can you say? Winding me up. And I did stop, and then started to put back again a bit later. I just had to say, stop it. That didn't last long. That was just a bit of an annoyance. Just be just more open and susceptible to stuff, and just have to be quite definite in saying no. And also, when I was having the most head-splitting pains, I asked for help. I just said, please, can you make this easier? Please, can you help me with the pain? And instantly it got lifted. I find that still now, if there's quite quick response when I need help, it's available. And also when I'm being guided to change direction or stop saying something or thinking or going a certain way, that information is provided very quickly. And I think it's probably an individual process and an individual experience. So the sensations somebody else might get in their body might be different to the way I experience things in mine. Sometimes my lips might tingle, or I get twinges in my crown chakra, or around the area of my heart and my back. We get the rushes and the energy moving through the body, but that is more of just the energy moving. I only sometimes feel like the crown chakra twinges and the lips tingling is more of a feedback or direction in information for me. I only had a couple of spontaneous orgasms. I didn't have many of those. one of them was while I was driving, so I'm kind of pleased really that it didn't happen. Can you imagine dropping the school one and stuff? Anything else? I could never catch at all. I could not catch. And after kundalini activation, I could catch like something would be falling out of the cupboard, and I'd just be like all kind of reactions, just so I felt like I was on some sort of martial arts film, you know. It was a marked difference. And also I went from somebody who was quite a bit all insects and bugs and moths and spiders. I mean, I'd made my peace with spiders quite a few years before. That's another story. But creepy crawlies, they just gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, you know, just a bit. Ooh. But after the kundalini, I could pick up moths, or just no problem. This was strange. I mean, I don't live near any water or ponds, or I live on top of a massive hill. There are fields, but no ponds as such. Anyway, it was winter at time. Was it last spring? Probably this time last year. I don't know. It was quite cold. Maybe it was in spring. There was a massive frog on my rug next to my dining table in my sitting room, and there's no patio doors in there or anything, and I did feel a bit weird about picking that up. I totally missed an opportunity, you know. I put it outside in the field, in a safe place, and I should have given it a kiss. You never know what could have what could have happened. I totally missed out on that one. Never mind. I can't think about that because I'll just do my head in like wondering about that, because that was just so strange. Quite a few strange things do happen, but not unpleasant. Not now they're kind of surrendered to the process and sit and meditate and pray and ask, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? How would you have me be? It's not my will, it's God's will. And obviously this is where your discernment comes in, because if you are open and susceptible to influence from different spiritual entities and so on, you have to be sure that you know who is in communication with you and what feels like it's from the divine and what doesn't. And definitely know the difference. And clearing energy, keeping grounded. Loads of like, some days I would have like 5-6 baths or showers, and I had to clear the energy off or use some bells. Or I'd never really bothered with the smoke so much, but I'll spend a lot of time out in nature. It's really grounding. And it's interesting, I never really knew many plants or trees or anything, and I go out to nature now and I'll look at a tree and or whatever, and the name of the plant or the tree comes into my head, you know, not like Brian or Tony, I mean an elder or whatever it might be. I don't know if I can think of anything else. But the breath, connecting to the breath, and that is so, it's been so important, so pivotal. It's the connection to God, it's the connection to the divine and the spirit. Okay.